Hi, Chris here, and my assistant in the corner, Vera, with the HIMO ZB20. So this particular foldable e-bike, it's heavy. It weighs 28 kilos. It has a front shock and those iconic fat 4-inch wide wheels. 20 inches is a pretty standard size now for the foldable bikes, but with these wheels on it, it does have a more sturdy, wider frame. And because it is a foldable, there's a little bit more weight to it due to that. Now, the battery located in the frame right here is 10 amp hours. I'll let you know what I can get out of it range-wise. The handlebar will fold down as well too, and our seat, it's large, it's comfortable, it has a built-in pump with it. We have 6 gears, they're Shimano gears, and a 250 watt motor here, powering us along with the ZB20 Max. The frame quality does seem very good with solid looking welds, and it's not going to break in half like the Fido X, not this particular bike. So there is a little clip we need to push forward first, and then you need to just pull on that, and that undoes it, and you can then fold the bike in half and gain access to the battery. This is what it looks like then in its folded state. So it's in half, handlebars are down, seat post is also down. You can now fit it, for example, under a stairwell or in the back of a large car, that is. But you don't want to be lifting this up any stairs because it does weigh that 28 kilos. It is heavy, and even though it's folded up now, it's still relatively large compared to other foldables. With it unfolded, you can then insert the key and slot out the battery like so. The pedals on this e-bike, they're made out of a hard plastic and they are foldable pedals. We have a plastic chain guard here, and the chain brand is a Best Chain brand. Never heard of them before. The shock here is generic. It's not a brand shock, so it's not a Rock Shock or a Fox, no. Now it is lockable. There is approximately 2 inches of travel, which is not bad. We've got a reflector here and a bright LED headlight. Sadly, our front hub here does not have a quick release, so you're going to have to carry around tools if you're going to do a repair on the spot, but hopefully you won't have that issue. I do recommend using in these large tires some anti-puncture solution, just in case. The 4-inch wide fat tires that they went with are CST, BFT, and I do see a lot of CST brand tires on these Chinese e-bikes. The bike does come with a sturdy kickstand. It does not rattle. The battery, which of course is right in here, and it seems to rattle around, which you'll hear later on with my road tests. So the charging port is right here. You can charge it either in the bike, out of the bike, and you're looking around 4 to 5 hours to charge the 10 amp hour battery. The seat, very comfortable, plenty of sponge in it, 0 complaints from me. So the height does have a quick release on it, the seat post at least, so it's height adjustable. And if you pull it right out and then check the end of it, unscrew it right here, you'll find that there is a built-in pump, which is quite ingenious of them to have this. So you can use that pump to top up those tires if you need to. Coated with the bike is this rear tail light, so it has a reflector and then these LEDs at the top. It is nice and bright and it's great for safety. And there are reflectors in the spokes of each wheel. The bike does have lock grips and they are not going anywhere. So here is the controller, the same as the HIMO controller in the Z20 that I reviewed. We've got our trip meter, odometer, and then you've got your pedal assist levels. So eco, mid, and then high. Most of the time I'm using high and sometimes mid. Of course, eco is if you want to get the maximum range out of it. So down here there are 2 buttons to power it on, and there's the mode button. Now if you keep holding the plus button here, that turns on the front headlight, but not the rear one because that operates on batteries. I do have a complaint with this controller, and I've screwed it up to the maximum tightness here, but it's still loose. So it's actually just a little too big for the diameter of the handlebar, and that's a slight annoyance. Then we have our Shimano gear selector right here. So up the gears, down the gears here, a little bell, better than nothing. Our handlebar, this can fold down as well, so it just collapses to one side of the bike, like so. And the latch on this is very strong, and it clips in securely there. It's not going anywhere. Now, the height of the handlebar is not adjustable, unfortunately. Now, what's it like to ride this beast of an e-bike? So the crank here uses a speed sensor, and it's not a torque sensor. The torque sensors are the best, but normally around this price category and group of bikes, they don't use the torque sensors. Some of them do, and I really wish HIMO would have. So I've got it in the high mode, and there is no accelerator with this. It's not actually legal here in Europe, so it's kind of good that it doesn't have it. So when I start to pedal, there we go, it's detected that I'm pedaling, and it gives me that boost. And you notice it straight away on the high, gives you quite a bit of power there. And then the mid, not as much. And eco, it's just a little bit, but eco's not too bad for, especially cruising around on the flat here, is quite good and comfortable. So why am I pointing at my legs? Yeah, well, I'm just trying to show you that the handlebars, there's a bit of room here, and I'm in quite an upright position, so it is comfortable, and the seat caters to pretty much all rider heights, which is good. Now I have a tiny little climb up here, and you can hear that. Why I went over that and why I'm recording this clip is just to point out that there is a rattle. Now, I believe it is the battery rattling around inside the frame here. That's what's making that noise. It is irritating. I could probably fix it with a couple of little rubber shims or something on the battery when I slot it in so it doesn't feel loose in there and rattle. But really, I shouldn't have to do that. HIMO, I hope they fix it. Steady climbs like this one right now, which is not that steep at all. It's nice and easy. It's doing without really me having to work up any sweat, barely any effort. This is in the high mode. Now if I put it into the mid mode, straight away it's almost like I notice a drag on the motor and everything, but it's still easy enough. Now in eco, I have to put a bit of work into it now, and I'm feeling that. But let's move over now to where my steep climb test is. So here it is, my climb point. So this is about 25-30 degrees, and I am in the 6th gear, so I'm going to lower down the gears a couple. This can kill some e-bikes and some of the e-scooters I review, but look at this, not a problem. Plenty of climbing power, and I'm in the 4th gear. If I give it a little more, it's helping the motor. And that's in the high setting. So if I put it onto mid still seems to be okay. And eco, really not that different actually. So it climbs really well. I could probably even go up a few gears here with it, or drop them down if it's a super steep climb. It's a great climbing performance with the ZB20. Now for my braking test, so we've got mechanical disc brakes, 160 millimeter, so about 30 kilometers. Not too bad, that braking performance. Now for the price of this bike, they should have gone with hydraulic. I think if anything's over €1,000, $1,000 US, put hydraulics on them. Now the discs themselves, the pads on these brakes, they do bite into the discs quite well, a lot better than some other brands I've recently reviewed. So these overall aren't bad brakes that come with the ZB20. But if I was going to upgrade anything, it would be those brakes. Another thing to point out as I cruise along here is that sometimes my feet, my shoes hit the frame. And that's because the frame is extra wide to cater for those 4-inch wide tires. Didn't have this problem on the Z20 from HIMO because that's only got the 2-inch wide tires. But this one, it occasionally happens. So you need to adapt your riding style so you don't end up striking your feet against the frame. Now if you watch my other e-bike reviews, you'll recognize the coast here. This is the end of what is called Las Rodas, Mediterranean coast of Spain. And the ride so far with this bike is good. Excellent climbing performance, good top speed. I can easily ride over 30 kilometers per hour, unlike some of the other 20-inch bikes. And I love the noise that these big fat wheels make. Lots of road noise. I actually like it. So how does the ZB20 handle really rough roads? Like right now, it's very bumpy. It's doing fine because of the fat wheels, and the front shock is helping out, soaking up some of these bumps. But listen to that battery. It is rattling away. It's super annoying. You have to do something about that battery. Can't put up with that all the time, rattling away. Now our range. HIMO states that you should be able to get around 80 kilometers out of this. But of course, that's ideal conditions, no headwind, using one of the eco settings there, of course. Now I was riding around mostly on the mid or the high setting, and I'm losing around 11 kilometers per battery bar there on the gauge. So I'm looking at about 50 kilometers range with my 81 kilos and some small climbs. I do often ride over 25 kilometers per hour though. So on the street when I was riding then, I managed to get up to about 28, 29, sometimes 30 kilometers per hour top speeds there where it's not even using the motor. So the mileage is going to vary, but worst case scenario, I do think you are looking around about that, 40 kilometers, and then best case, maybe 60, but certainly not the 80 that they claim you can get out of it, no. So what is the good about this bike? Well, it's CE certified. The quality of it is very good. So it's better than ADO bikes that I've reviewed, Fidu, and a few of those other brands. Engri is another one. It's better than those, definitely. It has the nice fat 4-inch wide tires on it. The paint job, this khaki color looks great, and it's a very good finish. It folds in half, and that is very good. It's got a powerful motor, so good for climbs, and the brakes are actually good, even though they're mechanical disc brakes, and they bite in though, those pads, meaning that the performance is fine. I can't really complain about it. The front shock can be locked out. Now onto the cons. There are minor little things here, and that is that there's a noise, a rattle. Okay, that was a chain slapping then, but I sometimes hear the battery inside here or either the front shock can sometimes make that rattling noise. You probably heard it with my footage there with the GoPro. The other is the pedal gets quite close to the frame here, and I sometimes find myself hitting with my feet the frame because the frame's a lot wider because it needs to cater for those wider tires, which means you need to adapt your riding style to move sometimes your feet a little. I find that a little bit annoying. The other is very minor too. The display moves about. I've tightened it up as best as I could, but there's a bit of movement in there. And then finally, what about our pricing? So get ready for it. 1,600 euros is what it costs. So it is an expensive bike, better quality than the other models I have reviewed, but it is a bit pricey, I think, for what it is. So hopefully they can work on that price, HIMO, and bring it down a little bit. I know it is SE certified by SGS. They would have cost them a bit of money to do that, and it does have a very good build quality. The seat is also good. It's just a bit pricey there. So thank you so much for watching my review here of the HIMO ZB20 Max.